Let's get ready to rumble!
All right. Hello and welcome to Netflix versus Cinema, the podcast that has lived through all the anticipation, lived through everything, and has finally got to the point where it is here. It's finally here. The film that we've been waiting for is here, and we have Dune. Dune has arrived. So I think it's not even a spoiler to say that that's what we're going to be talking about today. My name is Tosin. I am your host, and I am based currently in a bar in Birmingham because restrictions have lifted and people don't think COVID exists anymore. So I'm in a bar in Birmingham. And joining me as always on the Isle of Wight are Sharon.
Hello.
And Shaun.
Hiya.
Yes. So, if you wonder what the name means, Netflix Cinema, that's because what we tend to do on this show is that we go to the cinema every week, see around about 3 films. We stay at home and watch things on Netflix and Friends, watch around about 3 things, and we rate them all out of 5. And at the end of it, we say who has won, who has money we better spend this week, film or cinema or Netflix and Friends. Now, this week, if you listened to us last week, we already gave you a massive spoiler that there was one film that was going to be reviewed this week, and it might have been the film that we were going to review this week at the expense of all other films. And that film is finally the adaptation of Frank Herbert's Dune, directed by Denis Villeneuve. So I know, Shaun, you saw it last week, and you held you kept your powder dry. Very, very, very. Thank you very much for that. For us, waiting for us to catch up with Shaun. When it comes to films, we spend a lot of our lives waiting to catch up with Shaun. And I think this week, Sharon and I both saw Dune in cinema.
Yes.
And that's the only thing we saw in cinema. And Shaun decided to go and say, you know what, we're calling this for cinema. Let me give us more than one film to talk about this week, like Shaun does. And Shaun, what else did you go see in cinema this week?
Okay, I went to see The French Dispatch.
See, has that even been released? Yeah, it's on a pre-release or a secret screening or something?
No, it wasn't a secret screening. It was on. I actually saw it in Bournemouth. I was over Bournemouth the weekend.
Oh,
and I actually went to see it in
Newport's listings. It's not there the next fortnight.
No, I saw it at Bournemouth. As I say, I was over there the weekend, so I thought, I'll pop to the cinema.
Well, Student Town, Wes Anderson movie.
I like Wes Anderson films, and I was quite keen to see it.
And it hasn't come. I thought. No. I mean, we saw the trailers and everything for it.
Yeah, not this week and not next. I've looked ahead to see if it was on.
Oh no. Oh well, I'm glad because I did and ah because I was pretty certain that the Isle of Wight would have it. I was pretty certain. Then it was only that I was lost for something to do for rather than watch Strictly Come Dancing. It was a choice of either watching Strictly Come Dancing and Saturday Day TV, or I thought, oh man, there's a film I want to see. It's just the right time.
I take it you were with your mum then, Shaun.
Yes, I was.
Yeah, I take it with your mum. All right, cool, good stuff. So that's what we had in cinema. So we have 2 things in cinema. And I think I have something that I saw at home on BBC iPlayer, but I can hold it on to next week because I've been sitting on this for a while. It's essentially a lockdown drama called Together It's a lockdown drama called Together with Sharon Horgan and James McAvoy. But I can keep that on to next week. But what did you guys see at home?
Well, because I watched I reviewed the one last week, didn't I, which was the tank. It was Invincible and the Tankers. Oh yeah, the Russian movie. I watched another one on the Russian movie. Yeah, I watched an Estonian movie called 1944 Forced to Fight. Yeah, so it was. I like this, Shaun. Shaun is a bit like Napoleon, who, when he found out there were no more lands to conquer, decided to go to Eastern Europe.
Headed east. That was your downfall.
Yeah, headed east.
And watch everything that Eastern Europe has to offer.
Yeah, some of it is. I'm in the middle of 2 others as well. So.
I'll tell you what, Shaun. There's a film called The Guilty that has just been remade. It's been remade on Netflix with Jake Gyllenhaal in it. And the original, I think, is Swedish or Norwegian. And everybody raved about this film. And, okay, Shaun, I task you as the man who sees everything, the man who saw everything. Go find the original version of The Guilty, because I've been trying to find it somewhere to watch.
Right.
All right, cool. And Sharon, what did you see at home?
I saw a film on Amazon Prime called Wild Mountain Thyme, which has Emily Blunt and Jamie Dornan in it. Is
Are,
that
are we creatures of habit?
yeah?
Pretty much, I think.
Okay. Now, I'm really keen to find out what you thought about Wild Mountain Time, because I've heard stuff about this film. Okay, I just want to see. I want to see what you said. I want to see, especially with your Irish connections. I want to see what you think about this film. All right, cool. So, shall we kick off at the only place we can kick off this week, and that is Dune. Now, Shaun, if you're watching this thing, or if you're watching one of the clips of this on YouTube, you will see that Shaun currently has a background of a film that in his background he has a film that was heavily influenced by Dune. You could even say it kind of ripped it off a bit. but Dune is Frank Herbert's novel that was written in, what was it, the 60s?
Yeah, 60s, I think. Or maybe, might have even been
earlier than that.
50s, maybe, late 50s.
Yeah, so Frank, he wrote this novel, and this novel has long been called unfilmable because it's 600 pages long, or 26 hours if you listen to the audiobook. And people have just sort of said this thing is not filmable. But there have been loads of people who have taken different bits from this film and made their whole new empires. A bit like George Lucas and Star Wars. Now, probably the biggest Dune fan I know is a friend of the show, a guy called Yatish Palmer. And he is the one who gave me the audiobook, he gifted me the audiobook. And if you ever hear him talk about Star Wars, he is so disparaging about Star Wars because he's like, all they did was rip Dune off. They just ripped off all of Frank Herbert's ideas and then made them worse. Is what he says. So now I'm a bit reticent to give a synopsis of this film, because even giving a synopsis of this film, you will probably be here an hour, and you will just be, and a lot of people who haven't read the book or know anything about Dune will spend a lot of time saying, who, what, quits that, what, what the heck's a Harkonnen, and all that. But
1965. I'm sorry, I couldn't get over that. I need to find out. So it was first published in 65.
Oh, in 1965. Okay, I had my money on 67. So essentially, if you've watched a sci-fi movie ever since 1965, there's been a lot of stuff that has been influenced by Dune. But Sharon, because you are probably the most succinct of us, would you like to try and give? I'll give you like a 2 minutes. Give you 2 minutes to give us a summary of what Dune is about for anybody who doesn't know and wonders what all the fuss is about.
This is set in a universe that is approximately 8,000 years ahead of us. So in the years 10,000 and something or other. And there is a universe that is governed by an emperor. Some ideas there. And all the different planets have like a ruling family. And the ruling family of a planet called Caladan are the Atreides. Yes. And they have like dragged themselves up, and they are a safe pair of hands. They're fighting people. They're like disciplined and fighting, but they are effectively sort of honest. And there is a planet called Arrakis that has a thing called spice, the spice melange. And this can be used as a fuel that powers interstellar travel, because to travel between stars, to navigate between the stars is quite a tricky business, but the spice enables these creatures that navigate the stars able to slow time down so they can see a pathway through the stars. So you can travel at speed because you can see where all the obstacles are. So this spice has become the petroleum of the future worlds, because it's essential. It is what fuels the economies, and it's what fuels travel. And if you can travel, then you can conquer worlds. Then you can be the dominant force in a world. So
whoever controls the spice controls everything, pretty much.
Controls everything. They are a key player. And for 80 years, the emperor has put the Harkonnens, which are this sort of like brutish, aggressive, not very nice people. They have been in charge of this planet, mining the spice. I think the Empire. They're nasty. They're like boohists. And so they're all ugly and they're all not very nice. Whereas all the Atreides are slightly, they're more attractive and they're a bit nice. And the people, the people who inhabit the planet of Arrakis are called the Fremen, and they are a desert peoples who have basically, they live in harmony with their environment. So they use the spice, but not in a way that exploits their environment. And they know that on this spice, this dust planet,
No, sorry, Sharon. I was just going to say, I think your 2 minutes are up, and I think thank you very much for trying that, because what you have illustrated very clearly is how hard it is to give a synopsis of Dune, because what Sharon has just done has just begun to scratch the surface of what is going on in this. So what you need to know is that it's a
and she
book.
did it so well as well.
You did it brilliantly, but it's still pretty difficult. So before I started reading the book, sorry, Shaun.
Yeah, I was talking to our friend Happy John, and today I went into town with Happy John, and Happy John told me that they've greenlit the second part.
Yes, today they greenlit Dune Part 2, because the film. That's another thing about it. This book is so big, so massive, so expansive that the director, Denis Villeneuve, very wisely said, there is no way in hell you can make one film out of this. So the film right at the beginning tells you this is Dune Part 1. But but know that a lot of the things that you like in sci-fi have been inspired by this. So Sharon started speaking, and already, obviously, you started talking about empires and an emperor. That's where Star Wars got that from. You start talking about the House Atreides, who are upstanding and they're the guys who you obviously root for. That is House Stark. That's Game of Thrones. That's where they got that from. Yeah. And it's so there's that. So just know that. So we're gonna try and talk about the film and talk about what we thought about it, without really telling you what it's about, because we'll be here all evening. So let's kick off. Shaun, what did you think?
Okay, my thoughts on it. Yeah, I thought it was all right. I didn't think there was anything particularly nice. It was very, very pretty. It was very, very nicely shot. I think perhaps they spent a bit too much time on the, on the scenery, and it was very, what's the word? Just, I don't know. It's pretty. It's not a lot. There's not a lot. I don't think there's a lot of action in the book, and I guess it explained it fairly well. Because going back to the David Lynch version, that was very much hurried. They sort of crammed everything in there. So it's a little bit better from that point of view. But I still think, I thought, okay, yes, this is nice. Yeah, it's really lovely. But I think there were too many buzzy things all the time. And it was just like, it was too much time on the buzzy little butterfly or things. Very clever. And there's like that in the book, and that's how explained. But you mean the thopters? The coptery type things. Yeah, they're like they're little dragonflies, aren't they? They're all like little dragonflies. There was a lot of that and a lot of lovely scenery. But I wasn't too. If I'm totally honest, I preferred the Harkonnens, the Baron, and all that. I preferred them in the David Lynch version than I did this version.
Okay, cool.
So
I thought you were going to tell me that you were rooting for the Harkonnens. I was like,
no, I wasn't rooting for them, but I thought I didn't find them that menacing and that cruel, really. Okay. I know it's sort of, So for me, my feelings, it was an okay film. I didn't dislike it. It didn't wow me in any way, shape, or form. Nothing that I'd really seen before. So it was in my opinion, it was an okay watch.
Okay, Sharon, what did you
want me to carry on? I can carry on some more if you want.
No. Let's go to Sharon. Let's go to what Sharon thought.
I haven't read the book, so I'll say that up front. But I liked it, and I liked the fact that it had a literary feel. Because when I was watching it, I was just, part of my mind sort of struck me is that it's quite nice to actually watch a film that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, even though it's the first part of a much longer story. Because so often when you get literary adaptations now, they like to jump it all back. So you get a bit of the end, then you get a bit of the middle, then you may get the beginning, and then you may go back to the end again. And it's always chopping backwards and forwards. It's like, sometimes you just want it to be a beginning, middle, and end. And they set the film up the way you would in a book. You get that slow build, and then you get these points of sort of drama, but you end up, the books will normally all start and then it will build, and then you have like a peak in the middle, and then it drops off towards the end. And so I felt this was like that build up towards the middle part, like any trilogy or whatever. So to me, I quite liked the literary feel of it, that it felt like it was the unfolding of a story. It was giving you a lot of information to understand what your place in this universe, and then to focus in on the characters, and then you can then expand those characters. So for me, I quite like that aspect of it, and that world building. So you did get a feel of that, the hot dusty sand and all that. So for me, I liked it.
Okay, so Sharon, it's funny you say that because having read the book, because I've pretty much gotten to the point in the book where the film ends. I pretty much got
Yeah.
that. They do a lot of chopping and changing and shoving things around and moving things because there's no. But the fact that it still feels like a book is one. I think as an adaptation of the book, I'm not sure how much better you could have done. I'm not sure how much better you could have done if you're going to make it into a film. Quite frankly, because I was watching it and when I was watching it at the beginning, I felt a similar thing to what I was watching when I watched Lord of the Rings for the first time. And having read the book, you're going, oh my god, oh wow, they got that right. Oh look, they got that detail right. Oh, they got that. However, the problem with this is, I think like the thought that I've distilled it down to my head is that the story of Dune deserves a TV series. It deserves a high budget TV series like Game of Thrones. The story of Dune deserves that. However, the visuals of Dune deserve the biggest screen that you could have and you can find. So you can't have a TV series on a massive cinema screen. You can't have a TV series on an IMAX screen. So you have to make a film because it would be a bit of a shame if you just had this on TV. But there is so much, even though they got a lot of stuff into the film, there is so much that they left out. And watching the film, I was kind of like going, I'm not really sure how much of these characters and the motivations you're understanding because they haven't really gone into why they are doing what they're doing or who they are, because the book is written in such a way that when I was reading, I remember writing a text to Yatish and telling him about one of the characters and saying, this guy's a dumbass. And Yatish was like, man, you're getting way too into it. And I'm like, yeah, but that's the thing. The book is written so well that it gets you to know these characters. And like, you know about the Atreides and you know about their honor. So when stuff happens, you care about what happens to them and all the characters are fleshed out. And in a 2.5 hour film, there is no time to do that. So their characters, like the character of Lady Jessica played by Rebecca Ferguson, she's a badass. And the first couple of times she showed up on film, I was kind of like, they need to give her something badass to do soon, because anybody watching this film would think that she's just a simpering wimp, the way it was done. And like Paul Atreides, the guy who is the main guy in the character in the song, who the whole story comes to sort of revolve around. I get to a point where I'm kind of like, at the moment, he just looks like a whiny brat. He looks like a whiny brat, and without the background, the performance of Timothée Chalamet looks weird. And there were bits of it where I was like, if you understand what's going on behind the scene, that works. But if you don't understand it, which the film hasn't been able to tell you, it doesn't. I don't really think he looks like a whiny brat. So and the film finishes, and at the end of the film, I think you're left with a real sense of, okay, they haven't even told me anything. Where's the rest of it? you're left with a real sense of where's the rest of it, and I'm happy that they're going to make a second one. I just feel like maybe there's not enough time to. Essentially, I think that Lord of the Rings style, there's a 5-hour cut of this film somewhere, because there's a lot of actors, a lot of well-known actors that are in this film that are hardly in the film. And I'm like, there is no way you paid them their fee to get them in, to have them in a film for 5 minutes, even if it's part one. I'm pretty sure that there's a 5-hour cut of this that they said we couldn't put in cinemas because there is so much more rich. And I'm going to be one of those idiots that says, yeah, there's so much more richness in the book. Of course, there's more richness in the book. I think it's the same problem you have of when you're trying to make a Terry Pratchett adaptation. So much of the stuff happens in the characters' heads, and the motivations are explained, and why this person does that. And it's you can't do that without having a talky scene in the film. And the film has some talky scenes, and there still isn't enough. Having said that, I keep thinking about the film, and things keep coming back to my head. So I will give it a 4, but it is but I think that might be it's a qualified 4. Because I think I've read the bit of the book that this film is based on, things make more sense to me. But I was watching the film thinking, I really, really worry that anybody who hasn't read the book and doesn't have any background will not really understand what's going on, or will not be carried along with these characters the way I was carried along when I was reading the book. And it made me just reinforce my idea that I think ideally this should have been a TV series. But I think as a film, a 2.5-hour film, I think they did the best that they could do. And that's why I'm going to stop talking, because we can keep talking for ages. I'm going to stop talking there.
Cool. Right. Well, I'll just give it a 3-star for me. It's just a 3-star for me. It didn't like blow me away. It didn't set my pulse rate in any way, shape, or form. But it was okay. So it's a 3 for me.
Yeah, I'd give it a 4 because I'm looking forward to the next bit. I would like to carry on with that journey, and it made me think. Of reading the book that I do dither in and out of reading it because it's quite a big commitment to start.
It's a long
5,000 pages ahead of you, and so I liked it, so I'd give that a 4.
Okay, cool.
I'm wanting a bit more.
So a 4-4-3. All right, and now we go over to Netflix, and Netflix we have Sharon. Sharon, you saw Wild Mountain Thyme, and now this is a film. This is okay. Now let me put it this way: when this film was released, there's an Irish museum somewhere in Ireland, and they pride themselves on being like really really Irish and twee. So it's all about like leprechauns and gnomes and all that kind of stuff, and like the clovers and all that kind of stuff, and essentially, when this film was released, they put out a tweet saying, "Oh my God, this is a bit much even for us." and that put me in mind of a film that sort of like leans into almost every single Irish trope you could find.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me, Sharon, is that what happens? What happens in this film?
It's you can look at this film in 2 ways. If you can look at it as a piece of like drama and as a piece of filmmaking, it's a hot mess. The accents are all over the place. The story doesn't really make any sense. It takes a long time to get going, and then it's resolved really, really quickly. But then I was looking at it, I thought in some ways, if you look at it as a film, it's just like a hideous ordeal. But then you can look at it as like a fairy tale, because there are elements of it that draw on, because the song Wild Mountain Thyme, it's an Irish original folk song. So it's drawn from that folk fairy world tradition. And the elements of whimsy are, you couldn't get more Irish if you were dressed in green and dancing under a rainbow with like a singing dee dee diddly. It's a mess, but there was a certain charm to it for all that. But to me, I thought of it towards the end. It especially came more true to me. It's like a filmic fairy tale. So some things don't make sense, and they don't really fit into the real world, and the motivations make no sense. But then fairy tales don't, but they have a charm about them. So I would say it's a mess, but it's a charming mess. And I actually almost halfway through, I was thinking, is this actually going anywhere? Or they it's just sort of dancing around under a shamrock. But it did resolve quite quickly, and it sort of left you feeling that it had quite a satisfying ending. So for all that it was it was a mess, and the accents were all over the place and not the least bit convincing from any of the cast. Even the real Irish people, I was convinced that they weren't Irish.
even the real Irish people, the real Irish people got infected.
Yeah, even they didn't sound quite right, and I was thinking, I'm sure you're from Birmingham or somewhere, and they're just putting the big horror and all this on it. So I thought it was it was a mess, but it was charming at the same time. So I actually quite liked it in the end. It grew on me. It's probably because of the folk music in it. I'm a bit of a sucker for folk music.
Oh, okay.
And I'd give it a 3. But it has Jamie Dornan, Emily Blunt, Christopher Walken, John Hamm. It's got quite all of them trying various forms of an Irish accent. Except for John Hamm, he was an American, but even that sounded fake after a while.
What I'm hearing is that it sounds like you're saying it has a similar kind of charm to one of those old episodes of Doctor Who, where you're like, oh my God, that looks terrible. But I kind of liked it. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, so there's a very simple story. It's like the boy, girl grew up next to each other, neighbouring farms. She loves him. He doesn't know he loves her, but he secretly does love her. And then they sort of like get together at the end. It's there's no story. And then people die. there's a bit of death in it, and it's just like, oh, they've died. Oh, have they died? Oh, they've died. Oh, they've died as well. Have they? Okay. And it's just
Okay, I'm getting a flash. To a trailer. Do we have Christopher Walken in this trying to do an Irish accent?
Oh yeah, he plays Jamie Dornan's dad, and he's an Irish farmer.
Oh god, yes! I remember seeing the trailer and seeing Christopher Walken trying to do an Irish accent, and I'm like,
yeah. And you're sort of going like come again? What did you say? What are you saying? Because it's not quite clear.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, sometimes you need to learn to say no.
Mad bit of fun.
All right, so 3 stars for Wild Mountain Thyme.
Oh right, okay. So is it worth a watch then, Sharon?
It will drive you mad, but if you don't mind something that is a bit mad, then
I'd probably, something like me, I'd probably quite enjoy it then.
Yeah, it's as mad as a bag of spanners, but you come away, you can't help but like it really in some way. So I'd give it a 3. I don't think you could give it any higher than that in all conscience. But it's a piece of whimsy in the end of the day.
Okay, cool. So 3 stars for Wild Mountain Thyme. I think Sharon, there, you gave us pretty much the entire plot of the film, but I feel like that isn't even a spoiler. That's essentially like, this is what you signed up for. This is what you're gonna get.
This is what you're gonna get, and there's a bit of singing in it. So yeah.
All right, cool. So that's 3 stars for Wild Mountain Thyme. And now we go back to cinemas for our second and last cinema review of the week. This is the French Dispatch, the new Wes Anderson movie. And like, by now, I think most people know what they get with the Wes Anderson movie. You're going to have an ensemble cast. There's going to be quite a few of the actors that he works with that are going to show up. It's like, hello, Tilda Swinton. Hello, Jason Schwartzman. So, Shaun, what is this? What's it all about?
Okay, so basically, this is it's like a supplement magazine, like that is sent off to the Kansas News or whatever, but it takes place in France. So all the stories are French stories. It's a newspaper magazine supplement called the French Dispatch, obviously, and it's a story of Bill Murray as like the editor, and he's got these reporters which do all the reporting for the magazine. So, and of course they're all very, very famous actors. You've got and dare I say, I even liked Owen Wilson in this. All right, but I must be warming to Owen Wilson because he was. I mean, he wasn't in it particularly long, but he was like on his bicycle, and he goes around and sees all the bad areas, and and he gets chased by different, like loads of kids chasing. So you can imagine with the Wes Anderson, what some of the chase scenes are, and he's like, oh yeah, and this is the slum area of, So you've got that story, but the main story, which runs all the way through, is it's like this guy's in prison. He's like he's done a murder, but he does all this artwork of this, and it's like, and then you've got Adie Brody who wants to buy the artwork, but it's all anyway. I won't tell you a story with the spoilers and things, but so yeah, basically, so you've got this theme running through. It takes place in the prison, so that's one of the stories, a prison artist. Then you've got this other, like with students in France. You can imagine French students as like a demonstrator. They're all playing chess, very stylized, very yeah. And you've got all the big crowds in the background all going, oh, what's he doing? So you've got the two different factions, like, oh, we want more of this and we want more of that, and they're watching this all on this chess match, and the police have got loud hailers and stuff, and that's really,
it's Wes Anderson, cool. Isn't it?
It's Wes Anderson stuff, it's Wes Anderson stuff. And you know what you're going to get. It's incredibly stylized. It's very, very visual, I think. And I mean, I do really love the style. There's like in one of the stories with like a kidnapped child like that, there's like a shootout of, there's a shootout, I won't say, but it's just like really good. It sort of goes black and white. So you've got bits of black and white. You've got some grey and white. Got some lovely, lovely colour, and it's a real montage of stories. Great characters, really, really good characters, and there's like there's that's not Frances McDormand because she's a reporter. There's someone. There's like this auditorium with this. Oh, Tilda Swinton. She's like this, and they've obviously given her big teeth like that, and she's talking very plummy, anyway, about this artist, and this is what she's sort of narrating.
I have a theory. I think Tilda Swinton likes a big tooth.
Yeah.
I think because in the film Snowpiercer, she does the same thing.
But she comes across convincing. You can beat people like that. Do you remember? You know Janet Street Porter.
Yeah.
You know Janet Street Porter. Very similar to Janet Street Porter character, which is great. So yeah, and I mean, some of the stars are only in it for a short time. I mean, Ed Norton, he's in it for a short time. And it's just really, really good. It's really, really good fun. And Sharon, I mean, if it does come, I'll come and watch this with you again. Definitely.
Oh, I definitely want to see it. I've looked all through the next 2 weeks worth of listings. I can't find it.
Oh dear. I mean, I was lucky. I was on the mainland the weekend, so I'm really, really pleased I caught it, because otherwise I'd have come back and I wouldn't have been able to.
We would have been like
to see it. So
Well, the thing is, okay, we have Wes Anderson, and I think Wes Anderson is a very kind of he's sometimes it can be a bit of an acquired taste, because a lot of his films I find a bit cold, and I find I can't attach them. My favorite of his is the Grand Budapest Hotel.
That's class. That's class. Yeah,
that's the bit where I felt like his style actually met, like his visual style met with the storytelling, and that was just like, it was like, okay, now this is what you've been, all the films you've been making, you've been trying to get to this point. And if the French Dispatch is like Grand Budapest Hotel, great. If it's going to be,
it's like 3 Grand Budapest hotels. So
it was going to be like that, great. It was going to be a bit more like Rushmore.
No, it's
I loved Rushmore.
Did you? Yeah, Rushmore was okay. I'm not knocking Rushmore, but
but that's the thing. I mean, there's people who love his style and love what he does, and that's great. But I'm not saying it's bad or anything like that, because I mean, visually, stylistically, his whole symmetrical shot thing, I think is actually quite good. But I struggle.
Yeah, I can see why some people might. I mean, it's a great title sequence as well.
That I totally expect from him, because I expect that he is going give him the style. Give him the style. It's going to look amazing. It's going to look gorgeous. The set design is going to be out of this world. I expect all that. Yeah.
So anyway, as it comes to my star rating, this is going to get a 4-star. This will be a 4-star movie for me.
Okay,
so,
you see now, Superfan Nina is going to be very, very happy, because she's kind of like, I think this is a film that I think she is most pumped for over and above everything else. All right, cool. So now, Shaun being our Eastern European correspondent, we're gonna go. Yeah, so we're going back to you we're talking about Estonian war movies with Shaun. Take it away.
Okay, this is late on in the war, and it starts off with SS Estonian division, basically. Estonian troops. So it starts off on the Eastern Front, and there's a bit of a battle with the Russians, and then they retreat, and then there's another there's a group of Russians that they sort of ambush, but the Russians are Estonians as well. Mm-hmm. So, and anyway, they say, oh, Estonians, and some people have been shot, and obviously they go over, and the Russians let the Germans go, and the guy gets a finds a letter from one of the Germans, the Russian, and he goes to deliver this Russia to the town that they're at, and it's this German soldier's sister, and they sort of fall in love, I suppose, a bit melodramatic anyway. And then, well, I won't tell you the end, because it will spoil the end. But so basically that's what the movie is about. But what is so absolutely first class in this movie is you've got the German side of it for like the first half of the film, and then you've got the Russian side of it for the first half of the film. So it's not saying, and really the only negative, there's nothing really negative from it. It's just basically a soldier movie. I think the only thing is they said certain Estonians are sent to the Gulag, and one of the commanders is like a really, really horrible Soviet person that wants to do horrible things. So anyway, so you've got this movie. It's 2 halves. You've got the Germans, you've got the Russians. No one's particularly horrible. No one's particularly nasty. But what's the protagonists that just survive the whole thing, and can dodge like zillions of bullets and hundreds of explosions and all that? In this, the people actually do get killed. You know, they're like the officers, the main people that they actually do. So, and it just looked really, really authentic, and it felt really, really authentic. It just felt like a war movie should be. And what I really, really loved about it was you see it from both sides. So you've got the Germans, you know, but they're both Estonians, and you've got the Russians, which are Estonian. So obviously, I guess that's where the forced to fight come, because you'd have to have chosen one side or the other.
So essentially, they're saying that some Estonians were forced to fight for Germany, and some Estonians were forced to fight for Russia.
Yeah, that's what I would sort of say. I don't think they were impressed all that, but I think because of the situation, what they were, those Baltic states during the war, you had to choose one side or the other. Otherwise, you know, that was basically it. Did you choose the Russians or did you choose the Germans? So that was basically that was a bit of a dilemma for them as well. But what I liked about it is there was a shootout between the two, and they just both happened to be Estonians. In fact, some were even from the same town, which are hence when they take the letter to the sister. So, which you think is the right place. Anyway, it's just a really, really good. In fact, I'd say it's probably one of the best war movies I've seen, and I've seen a lot of war. I've seen a lot of war films. I love the uniforms. I love the equipment. It all seemed really, really proper, legit. As I say, it showed. I mean, you had the peasants were shown as peasants. I don't know if they're peasants, but like the farmers were like they. Just before the fight, the Germans are there and they turn up and they say, "Oh, have some food and something and all that," and then after there's like a bit of a battle, and the same villagers come up and they say, "Oh, what happened to those other other people?" You know, and they're they were obviously oblivious to who was who. But, but no, it's a great, terrific, really, 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 really thoroughly enjoyed this.
No, Shaun. Now, you saying that this is one of the best war movies you've ever seen?
Yes.
That is that. I mean, this has been
high praise indeed, isn't it?
This has been an amazing year. We've had Shaun watch a horror movie that he says made him jump once. That's massive.
That's huge.
And we've had Shaun say that, "Look at me, this is a war movie, and it's one of the best war movies I've ever seen." Yes. High praise indeed.
It really is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's got a wow factor then.
That has got a wow factor, and I mean, I just loved it because there was nothing really silly in it. Nothing really, really silly in it. The main characters that you think, oh, I'm gonna see. I like that when that happens. I mean, recent film called The Hunt. I think the last one I saw before lockdown.
Oh, The Hunt, yeah.
Or the one straight afterwards. But I loved that because you thought, gone. It was great. So, and this is like this. So I am gonna. Do I stick my neck out? I'm so tempted to give this a biggie. I'm the only five. I'm trying to think. It is outstanding. It is outstanding. For me, it was outstanding.
There you go then.
So I'm gonna have to really, really give this one a 5. I think because I did really, really enjoy it. So there it is. I think that's our first 5 of the year, isn't it? Since the pandemic. I mean, a real super surprise. And if I hadn't watched that one, which I watched, I probably wouldn't have given this one a look. But really, really, totally great. Really good movie.
So, okay, now, Shaun, the problem is that now Estonian cinema has a very, very high bar.
Yeah.
In your mind. So the next film that you watch from Estonian cinema is going to be On to Hiding.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool.
That's it.
Good stuff. So, a 5 for 1944 Forced to Fight. Our first ever Estonian movie review. So all that is left to say now is who... I'm going to give you guys a break now from hearing the pounding music behind me.
Yeah.
And just say, who do you think won this week? Netflix or cinema?
I think it's close. I think it could even be a draw.
I think it might be a draw because I think that last one is taking it up.
Balance the books.
Because we had a 4-4-3, 3
4-5.
4-5.
Yeah, you see now, I reckon, I think this. Bearing in mind we only have 4 films, I think that this is one of the hardest ones to call. If I didn't have this in numbers in front of me, I'll find it actually really, really difficult to call. But the winner this week, by virtue of Shaun loving an Estonian war movie and saying it is the best war movie he thinks he's ever seen, is Netflix and Friends. Is Netflix and Friends.
Right.
That's been a while since that's happened.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, before that happened, it was close. So it would have been a draw. But the 3 that Shaun gave Dune pulled cinema down a bit. And at the same time, Shaun, essentially, you decided this whole thing.
Oh, right, okay. Sorry about that.
And the 5 that Shaun gave 1994. Hey, I don't care. It seems that it was a good week all round.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's things are looking up. We've had a bit of a bad run, so hopefully.
Yeah. Last week was not. I'm looking at the numbers from last week, and I'm thinking, there was 1-4 last week, and we had 8 films. We had 8 to stop, and there was 1-4, and here we've had 4. We've had 4 films to talk about, and we had 3 4s at least. So
yes.
So okay, that's pretty cool. Right. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. Thank you so much for putting up with all the banging music behind me, coming to you from a bar in Birmingham. I'm gonna have to go back and see how this recorded and see if it's actually usable, or whether I have to I'll have to just go through and re-record everything I've said. But until next week, when we will see
Last Night in Soho.
Last night in Soho,
Yes.
and hopefully the French Dispatch somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us.